the recreational sports that people play. The running, the starting, the stopping, just making sure that the station is still in there. We're still in the air. Hold on. I just want to make sure we're still in the air. Just don't go. We're still in the air. We're still in the air. All right. So, baseball. Be careful. Don't break your leg like Nikki, who's an amazing personal trainer, and I have a feeling that she's going to be walking around on crutches with her cast being mean to everybody, which makes her an even better training. She's taking out her pain on you so that you get in better shape. If you were here, you'd be able to smell the stench of me in this vintage 2009 era Under Armour Lycra shirt. I feel like I look like an idiot. My hair's uncombed, and I'm dressed like a schmo, and I'm sorry. I apologize, okay? But let's get into brass tacks, shall we? Let's talk about Loblaws, okay? Loblaws is saying that they are going to be feeling the pinch with the increased minimum wage fees that, they're going to have to pay people more money for minimum wage. So it's going to affect the bottom line of the store, and they're going to have to lay some people off. Now, here's the thing. As soon as this story broke, it was very easy to predict people's reactions. They're going to be like, big business, corporations, blah, 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 blah. Yes. Galen Weston, my good buddy Galen Weston from President's Choice, Loblaws, and Shoppers Drug Mart and all that, he netted over $7 million a year last year. So maybe Galen could get a little bit more sympathy if he decreases his salary just a smidge. If he was making $1 million a year, I would feel 7 times more sorry for him than I do now, given that he makes $7 million a year. Does that make sense? Does the math work on it? Makes sense in my head. But the thing is, let's go back to the Loblaws picture. We're bouncing around here. Grocery stores don't make a lot of money. The profit margin on a grocery store is drastically lower than almost every other form of retail because food is expensive. It's expensive to ship food in. Like bananas, they got to ship those in on a boat. It's not like when you're dealing with clothes, like where they pay a kid in Vietnam a nickel to make a shirt that you pay $5,000 for. That's not how it works. Food is different. Food is different. But I remember as soon as Kathleen Wynne made her big announcement about how she was increasing minimum wage, which is blatant pandering, like she's so trying to buy people's votes because she knows that everyone's so livid about the prices people are paying for hydro. So what does she do? She makes it so that we'll have to pay 10 times the interest over the next few years so we can save money now for the next few years. And then she increases minimum wage, just I'm going to increase minimum wage because I care. You don't care. You don't give a rat's ass about anybody making minimum wage, except for maybe the people that clean your house that you pay minimum wage. I don't think you care about any of them, period. It's that simple. But we all get mad, and we have this idea everybody should be making more money. Everybody should be making more money. It would be great if everybody could make more money. But what you are seeing here with Loblaws specifically is exactly what's going to happen across the board. Bigger businesses are going to protect their bottom line because they've got investors. So what they're going to do, they're going to fire people. They've already announced Loblaws, because they now own Shoppers Drug Mart, is going to be getting rid of a lot of their staff. They're going to be putting more and more individual checkouts, self-checkout stands. That's the self-checkouts. Lots more self-checkouts at all kinds of Shoppers Drug Marts, more Loblaws, more superstores. That's what they're going to do. Because we all have this wonderful idea everybody's going to make more money. No, they're not. They're just going to be less jobs and people are going to be making more money. That's the way it always works. I'm sorry. And you're also going to see a lot more under the table working for cash is what's going to happen. That's what's going to... I'm not even... Are you giving me eyebrows because something's wrong or because
No.
You find my ideas preposterous and outrageous?
You're great.
Okay, I'm not great. I'm a horrible man. I'm horrible. I would love to live in Star Trek land where we all have replicators. Nobody even needs money anymore. We all just work hard like in space communism. I think that'd be great. It'd be wonderful. But right now, the world's not set up to do that. Everybody wants everything. We want it all, as Zach De La Rocha said in that wonderful song that he did with DJ Shadow on the Michael Moore Fahrenheit 9/11 soundtrack from a long time ago. Oh, I hurt my fingers there. But I just want to close this off by saying, Galen Weston, you make a lot of money. You're not going to get any sympathy from anybody. But I will say this. The President's Choice Decadent Chocolate Chip Cookie is absolutely amazing. I think it's fantastic. That's really my only point. Moving on. Okay. This, first of all, I want to talk about how absolutely amazing this story is. This woman is Melania Capitan. She is Spanish. She is a hunter. And according to this wonderful article that I got from the Toronto Sun, she's very hot. Dude, people often talk about we're dealing with the death of professional print journalism. We are, because nobody's willing to pay for actual journalism. They all just want to be in an echo chamber and be told that every one of their opinions is right all the time. But when you see professional journalism with a headline that says, animal rights activists drive hot hunter to suicide, you got to wonder, are we really missing out on anything? That's literally the headline. Look at that. Can we get a zoom in? Animal rights activists drive hot hunter to suicide? They put it as a question mark, but the implication is definitely there. Now, Melania Capitan is a hunter. She's a very attractive lady from Spain. She goes and she shoots animals and then posts pictures of it on social media, and people don't like it. They say she's terrible, so they yell at her on the internet. There's a lot of people that point the finger at her and they yell at her because she does big game hunting, which I think is disgusting. I'm not here to defend her, okay? Even though she died. She killed herself. And the assumption is that the constant abuse and vitriol that she was getting online, because she was doxxed as well, which means all of her information was published and all that stuff, drove her to kill herself. And here's the worst part. Somebody writing, she finished the lives of many animals and no one defended the death of them, and I think our lives are worth the same as her. It's just, she killed herself. I'm sorry, but that's wrong. If you're harassing somebody to the point that they kill themselves, I don't give a rat's ass what your motivations are. This is the world that we live in today. People don't ever want to take the high road. They want to do the exact same thing that the people they hate do, but they want to feel justified when they're doing it. Remember that two wrongs don't make a right, and you grow up hearing that, and you go, well, sometimes two wrongs do make a right. And as I've gotten older, I've really gotten to this point where, listen, if your justification for being shitty is somebody else doing something shitty, at the end of the day, you're still shitty. That's the thing. You're no better. You're just as bad. And you can try and defend it all you want and be like, I'm justified because my opinions say this. No, you're not. You're still shitty. You're losing all your credibility is what you're doing. You're being a terrible person. You're being mean to people. I'm not saying in this particular case that I really feel that Melania Capitan, or was it Melania? Yes, Melania Capitan was some amazing pseudo-saint and we should all be praising her or anything. I'm not saying that at all, because she killed all kinds of animals just to put pictures on the internet. But I'm just saying, it's terrible that people harassed her to the point that she killed herself, and then people can feel justified for doing it. You're being terrible. You're being mean to people. That's what I'm saying. Just before you do anything, just wonder, am I making things better or am I making things worse? And if you're making things worse, don't do it. Oh, I don't know what this picture is about, but it's very nice. It's a picture of a dog.
The pets.
The pets. Oh, yeah. People. Pets. Thank you. People with pets. Look at this wonderful guy with his dog that looks just like him. We're getting to the point where, according to science, in less than a decade, you will be able to talk to your pets. There is a pet toy company in the United States that has teamed up with a telecommunications company, and they are working on a way of translating your animal's barks or meows, etc., into words so that you can legitimately communicate with your pets. Look at that. Scientists working hard, making it so your cat can be like, meow, food, meow, food, meow, food. Why do we want this? What if your animal is crappy? You got a horrible pet, and they're mean, and they don't like you, and they're straight up using you. Do you really want to know? Do you want to know? Because we've all got friends that have a dog or a cat or a gerbil or something that's just brutal. But they're like, it's okay, they love me, we got a love-hate relationship going on. No! What if it's just a legitimate shitty relationship? Like, what if your cat, like, thinks you stink and you're ugly and you're gross? Like, what if that's the way it is and you got low self-esteem already? You know, I got low self-esteem, but I just got a cat in there so that I can have somebody to be with. And your cat, like, is miserable and hates you. What if your pet is racist? What if you have a racist pet? What then? What then? In this wonderful woke era where people are all so quick to, like, cast stones to prove themselves more aware and progressive than everybody around them, what happens if somebody finds out that your dog is racist? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You could be prosecuted for being unwoke by keeping a racist pet or a homophobic pet. What then? What then? Do you want to know is what I'm getting at. I don't want to know. I'm just going to assume that my cat thinks she's better than me and be fine with it. Be fine with it. Although my cat's the best, and she loves everybody, and she always likes to snuggle, and she's got a little swirly swirl on her tummy, and it's like she's a loaf of rye bread, and she's my best bud, and she's really rad. Moving on. Okay. Katie Mohammed. Now, Katie Mohammed is a woman right here in Toronto who got sued for libel because of something that she posted on Facebook. Listen to this. Listen to this. I actually think this is kind of an interesting story because I think it could, I don't know, have benefits for all of society here. But listen, this woman, Katie Mohammed, she's a teacher and she's a mother, and she went on to one of those mommy groups on Facebook, and she talked about how she wasn't too pleased about how there was this company that was going to be putting fill into a large garden area, and she got really mad, and she talked about this company that was going to do it. What is it? Like, yeah. So she posts online that United Soils Management was going to dump fill in an area that they shouldn't. And then what happened? United Soils Management sued her for libel for $120,000. And she's just one person. How many times have you complained about something on the internet? Loads of times. Loads of times. What if you could get sued for it? Now, this is weird. I'm kind of torn here because, A, I don't think it's really cool for a big corporation to be using all their corporate might to be going after an individual person who doesn't have the financial resources or the credit resources that a corporation would have access to, or the legal teams and any of that stuff. However, there is part of great picture. There is part of me that kind of wishes there was a way people could be held accountable for the things that they say on the internet. Really. Legitimately, I do kind of wish that. And the reason I say that is because I feel that the reason people are so cruel and mean to each other on the internet is because they have no consequence. Like, I can go online, I can find a 14-year-old girl, and I can criticize her outfit, her makeup, the way she looks, all of it, and there's no consequences. Would I see a kid walking down the street and say something like that to them? No, because odds are, if somebody saw like a grown adult yelling at a 14-year-old girl in public, they'd pop him in the mouth. Because that's the way people are in real life. They stick up for generally speaking, people will stick up for the little guy. But on the internet, there's that shield of anonymity, and you can basically get away with anything you want to. And I think that it's been well documented and proven at this point that for the most part, people are pretty shitty when you give them no consequences to their actions. It's kind of like children. You always can tell the kid that had no discipline growing up because they're just a garbage human being. People act like garbage human beings on the internet all the time, and I find it really disgusting and it's upsetting. And I think it's only going to get worse. So when we get to the point where people can get, like, consequences for their action. And by the way, I'm not talking about social media dogpiling as a consequence, because that's just as destructive and just as bad. That's another thing that there's no consequences for. When you don't give somebody an opportunity to explain what they did, and everybody just casts stones upon them, and then dogpiles them and destroys their lives, that's not progressive either. That's just as awful and terrible. I would just like to see, I'm not saying that it's good that Katie Mohammed got attacked by a company and got sued. By the way, just to give some resolution to that story, she ended up winning, and the company had to give her like $8,000 in damages because of all the stress and undue blah, blah, blah that happened to her in the process. But yeah, consequences on the internet. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit rattled. I'm a little bit upset about that one because I just think about all the mean things that have been said to me on the internet and how I didn't like it and it hurt my feelings because I'm sensitive. That's why I don't say mean things to people often. Okay, listen to this guy. This guy's name is Anthony Chris. Now, this, I think, is one of the most fascinating law stories that I've heard about in a long time. This is a legal case that's going on right here in Toronto. Okay? Now, Anthony Kiss being charged with manslaughter after he ran over a guy by the name of Dario Romero last June. All right? Now, he ran him over, this Dario Romero guy, because Alicia Aquino, or is it Aquino? Aquino. I'm terrible at pronouncing words. It's not ignorance or prejudice. It's just stupidity. That's all it is. The Q's and the U's, Aquino, Alicia Aquino. Alicia Aquino, mother of 5, single mother of 5, with grandchildren, mind you, has been working at the same hotel for about 20 years. And she's been taking the exact same route to work for 7 years. She's standing at the bus stop when a man starts coming at her, screaming, full of gibberish, not making any sense, brandishing a knife, and begins to attack her. She runs away, runs into the street, mind you, trips over the median. This guy is coming at her, and she says she thought her life was over, and she closed her eyes, preparing for death. And then she heard a massive thump, and she thought, I'm dead, I've died. And she was terrified to open her eyes. And when she did, this is just like a movie. She opens her eyes, and there's a car there that's pulling away, and the guy that was allegedly attacking her, Dario Romero, is laying on the ground. Because this guy, Anthony Kiss, drove his car and smashed into the guy to save this lady's life. Now, this is where things get a little bit complicated. Let's go back to Anthony Kiss here. Anthony Kiss had been at a concert. He was drinking, and he blew over the legal limit. Now, the story is he saw the woman being attacked, knew he had had a few drinks, but needed to do something to save this woman's life. Saw a guy with a knife, was like, I probably shouldn't approach him, but drove over in his car and hit the guy, trying to save her life. Realized he'd had a few drinks, and then was like, oh my God, I just ran over a guy in my car. Takes off in his car, ends up being apprehended by police, and is now on trial. It's such an interesting case to me, because what would you do if you were in that situation? This guy, Anthony, is in a lose-lose situation. That's what he's in. He can either A, run up and get stabbed, B, do nothing, C, get in his car, take the guy out with the knife, and potentially go to jail for it. All he was trying to do was save this woman's life. And this Alicia Aquino, she's very blunt at saying that Anthony Kiss is her guardian angel and saved her life, hands down, period, because she was convinced that she was going to die. I don't know how this is all going to fall out, but knowing Canada, Anthony Kiss is going to get charged with something and end up going to jail. Because even though he had nothing but the best of intentions, we have a great legal system that seems to go above and beyond in finding ways to hoop people over and ensuring the people actually that are killing people manage to get like really short sentences. Oh, you poisoned 4 kids? Well, you can go to jail for a year and then we'll let you move to Brampton. That's Canadian justice, boodly doodly doo. That's the way things seem to go here. But I want to keep an eye on this trial. I think this is ridiculously fascinating. The only man who could really get to the bottom of this and find it a proper resolution is Matlock. And that's a reference that none of you under the age of 65 will understand. I only get it because my parents are over the age of 65, and I grew up watching Matlock all the time. And I'll say this, it had an amazing theme song. By the way, we've got another Facebook Live video coming up right at 5 o'clock. We're going to hang out with Les Murray from the Toronto Festival of Beer, and we're going to sample a bunch of beers that are available this weekend at the Toronto Festival.